Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Community Post Discussions, where I talk about my community posts, then I give some feedback on your comments. And today we've got a doozy. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, and personally, I totally understand if this isn't something that you like to pay attention to, if it's something that you don't like to, follow up on. But unless you've been living under a rock, you might have noticed the recent assassination attempt of former President Trump, which, I'm pretty sure we can all agree on, what am I talking about? This is America. We don't agree on. But anyway, what I'm talking about here is not so much the incident itself, although there have been plenty of videos out there. Feel free to go browse the internet and take a look at them. What I really want to get at here is the absolute fumble of the female Secret Service agents. Now, my point and my perspective is on a couple of key moments. Before I even dive into this isn't me saying women are useless, women have no inherent value in anything. Because when I read some of these comments, some of y'all are insanely unhinged and you guys like to talk about things in sweeping generalizations, but me, I like to find the nuance in life. And personally, this is where I find some nuance. So before we get into it, let's go ahead and take a look at the video, and then I'll go ahead and give my opinion on it, and then I'll reply to some of your comments as well. The fumbling is atrocious. They just running around. Don't know what to do right now. Okay, so we've seen the video and we've seen the specific photo. And to be quite honest, my opinion relies on this photo only. And this photo here is a little jarring in my personal opinion. Now, here are my 2 cents on it, and then I'll go ahead and reply to some of the comments that you guys left on the post. My perspective on it, again, before I even dive into it, I'm not saying women are useless. Women have value. Some of you, just like some men. Some men are utterly useless. Me personally speaking, I wouldn't want to be in the Secret Service anyway. But before I go into my own preference, let's go ahead and talk about this. The idea that this woman was shielding herself from the bodies on top of the body she was supposed to protect, in my personal opinion, is a little jarring. Because the reality of it is, as a Secret Service agent, your primary objective is to protect the personnel that you're protecting. However, when push comes to shove, an actual conflict happens, you have to be at the ready in order to do what is one would call the ultimate sacrifice, right? So much like the men that jumped on Trump and shielded him with their bodies, I personally believe, and I think everyone would agree with this, at least to an extent, that she should have done the same. Now, say what you will about it. Personally, the way I see it, I think women can serve plenty of other functions throughout the U.S. government and other factions of the U.S. government. But I don't think a 5'7" woman or a 5'5" woman is going to be able to protect a man that is 6'3", 6'4". Just take a look at some of the photos. Yes, was there one woman who was brave enough to jump on stage and shield him with her body? Sure. But the dude's head is exposed. Let's say there was 2 he would have got his whole melon split, regardless if she was there or not, simply because she did not meet the height requirements. And this is ultimately the crux of the problem. The question here is, has DEI gone too far? Now listen, obviously, with the tone of my skin, you can clearly tell that DEI would probably work in my favor. However, I'm not the type of person who likes to inject himself into areas that I do not have any expertise in. I'm a personal trainer, model, and an actor. Those are my areas of expertise. Beyond that, I do not do anything else, and I don't get paid to do anything other than those 3 functions. Well, except for YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, because you helped get this channel monetized. Appreciate you. Now, all in all, here's what I'm saying. When it comes to things as serious as military service, government jobs, protection, provision, etc., more oftentimes than not, men have the physical capability to do these things. Now, can women do it? Sure. But it's not about if you can do it. Anyone could do anything. Like, yeah, I could put on a suit, throw on some shades, and become a Secret Service agent. But when push comes to shove, I wouldn't be able to perform. That's why I'm not in the military. I don't want to die for y'all. Let's be frank. I don't want to die for you. Not only do I not want to die for you, inherently, that's not something I feel I'd be good at. And that's just the truth of the matter. There's nothing wrong with not being good at certain things, but being able to excel in other areas. And listen, before anyone gets their proverbial panties in a bunch, I'm not talking about domesticated labor either, because most of the greatest chefs are actually men. Here's what I'm trying to get at, ladies and gentlemen. It is okay to have specific expertise in areas and excel in areas that another gender wouldn't be able to excel at. That's okay. I don't understand the need to try and put us all into a monolith and assume that everyone has the same skills and attributes as one another, especially when it comes down to genders. The beauty of humanity is that we're both different. I'm talking about male and female. Now, obviously across ethnicity, whatever the case may be, some might be better at other things than others, and that's a whole different conversation within itself. But if we're keeping this male and female, it's okay that we have different attributes and skills. I don't understand why people get so upset about this. And the idea that you want to inject the Secret Service with more women, whether they be qualified to, the extent that a woman could be qualified, or to the capabilities that women are able to perform as good, if not better than the men in those roles, I think is a pretty myopic perspective. Because first of all, unless you're getting a tall woman, odds are they won't be able to protect that person regardless of where they are positioned anyway. And that's clearly shown in some of the videos that we've seen. Yes, did she do her job and get up there and try to defend him as best as possible? She did, and we can give her credit for that. However, she doesn't meet the height or physical requirements to be able to do that effectively. And that's the key word that a lot of you are missing here. Effectiveness. Effective. Say it with me. Effective. The ability to perform at a level that is more than optimal. Effective. Efficient. That's what we're talking about here. Now, yes, some people made some comments that there was some guy who went up there, the male Secret Service agent, climbed the ladder, seen him, got spooked, and ran away. Yeah, and personally, if there was a video out there, I would roast him too. Because to be in a role where you need steel resolve and then cower in front of the face of the very thing you're supposed to attack or defend your personnel from is some, quite frankly, let's just be honest about it. And I would also be speaking about him as well. But unfortunately, there is no video capturing the moment where he went up there, decided to cower, and then fall back. I'm sorry, ladies, but these ladies were definitely in a position where that the cameras were visible, and we have one of the most iconic photos from that event where she was cowering behind the other people that were on stage. We have to think about these things rationally. And more importantly, we have to think about these things objectively. Like, I wouldn't expect to be selected to be in special forces if I was just a military recruit. You have to go through certain things in order to achieve that. And more important than that, you have to have the physical requirements to be able to perform in those certain areas. That's just the realities of life. I don't understand why most of us are so opposed to the idea that men and women both play different roles in society. Where did we go wrong? What is wrong with that thinking? I'm just as confused as a lot of you logical thinkers are in the way that some people decide to defend this event that recently happened. But enough about me, that's just my opinion. I want to hear some of your comments below as well, but before we get into the future comments, let's talk about some of the comments that I've been reading on my post. I wake up super early in the morning. I'm usually up by like 3:45, and before I do anything else throughout the rest of my day, after I've done my toiletries and I'm taking care of myself, I like to read some of the comments, check my analytics, so on and so forth, all that YouTube jazz. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes when I read these comments, I often think to myself, what is the IQ of this individual? Because some of you, quite frankly, are just, y'all are dumb. For the most part, y'all are dumb. But anyway, let's get into these comments. I usually pick about 4 to 5 comments that I find to be the most comical or the most, I guess you could say, jarring. And here are some of the ones that I found here, and I'll go ahead and give my opinion. Let's start with the very first one here. Let me just change something on my phone real quick. The first one here comes from a gentleman, I think, named Major Factor 7207, and he quotes, 304s will be 304s. Now, me personally speaking, I'm not exactly sure what this comment means. To me, honestly, it sounds like you hate women. And I know one of you might be thinking, but Serge, what you're saying about women is clearly you bashing women. Not necessarily. I'm just taking an objective look at what's actually in front of us. Like, really think about it. If you had a family member who is 6'4", would you want one of their bodyguards to be like 5'5"? For real, really think about this. And for this gentleman to say 304s will be 304s, not only does this comment have no place in this discussion, it also doesn't add to the objective debate that we'd like to have here and have that broader discussion. So I'm sorry, sir, as much as I love your content, well, not your content, but you know, the fact that you comment and you're active on my channel, I appreciate you, but this comment was in poor taste. I would suggest you do some internal reflection and really think about where this comment is coming from, because again, absolute poor taste. Let's go to the next one. So the next one comes from William Wells Jr. 152. She's no worse than the service agent on the roof trying to retreat. Now that was pure comedy. And I agree. I agree. Listen, if you're going to be in a role where you have to face danger and you're going to be scared about it, why are you in the role? Like, let's really think about this. And the same goes for, I don't mind police officers, right? But the same thing goes for certain police officers. I mean, y'all have seen the video with the officer that shot at the gentleman because an acorn hit the roof of his car. If you're gonna be in a role like that and you're gonna get easily scared from arbitrarily nothing, then you should really reconsider what you're doing and the job that you have, because the responsibilities you carry in this job are pretty important. And if you're not going to do your job properly, then you should probably give it up to someone who could. Let's move on to the next one. Femme Divine Mind 7777. First of all, I do like angel numbers. I'm into angel numbers, and I appreciate the last 7 sevens on your username. But anyway, she states that she's meant to be behind and he refused to get off stage. Firstly, wrong. She wasn't meant to be behind. And secondly, you're right. He was supposed to get off stage. Listen, me personally speaking, if I'm getting shot at, there's no way I'm gonna stand there and throw up a fist in the middle of being shot at. Yes, was it an iconic photo? Did he know what he was doing because he's in media? Of course. But also, I would also assume and say that it would make logical sense that a man like Trump would take advantage of that moment to have that kind of media portrayal. Because, I mean, why not? You shot and you missed. So of course he's gonna throw the fist up. So yes, I think she's both correct and incorrect. No, she was not meant to be behind. As a Secret Service agent, you were supposed to be protecting your personnel, not cowering behind the bodies of other people that are protecting the personnel. Let's move on. Next one. This one comes from Vincent Pier 5188. Just say you don't think women should be allowed to work certain jobs. That's the point, right? Yeah. Congratulations on your capacity to deduce information that may not be blatantly put out there. Yeah, I don't think women should be working certain jobs. The same way I don't think men should be working certain jobs. I mean, now what? Like, now what? What do you expect me to be, some like fucking misogynist and just say I hate women? No, I don't hate women. I hate everybody equally. And I just personally think from an objective standpoint, there are some things women are better at. There are some things men are better at. And that's really it. There's no reason to get upset about that. Let's move on. GSBKD. Now let's talk about this one. This one's rather lengthy. And then when they stand up, she's too short to be an effective shield. Other guys had to use their arms to cover Trump's head, which isn't helping. I mean, a bullet will still murk Trump if it hit her arm. It's funny, when I saw the video, it's quite honestly the first thing I pointed out. They couldn't find another 6'2" man instead of a 5'7" woman. And ultimately, this is the issue with DEI, because DEI gives way for people that are not qualified, but pseudo-qualified simply on the merit that they're different from the qualifications that are the standard for said role. And he's right. Again, just because he had the arm around doesn't necessarily mean that Trump was protected. And there are moments within that clip where you see Trump's head is still visible. Now, did he push his way out of the circle that he was in order to get the photo op? Yeah, sure, we can make that argument. But still, even with that being said, The fact that she was much shorter than him just means that he was still an open target, regardless of what her intentions were. Intentions are great, but we all know the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Let's move on. This one comes from Amy Helen Hughes. She's not any more incompetent than the other agents on the scene. Had anyone done their job right, the shooter would not have been able to get in position to take a shot. And I absolutely agree with you. Had they actually done their job, then perhaps this situation would have never happened at all. But unfortunately, that was not the case. And the reason why I say that is because regardless of how you want to look at it, sorry, I don't mean to be looking at my phone, just got a notification. Regardless of how you want to look at this, it's still the truth. Just because she was there doesn't mean she was qualified to do the job. I don't even understand why we're even arguing this point. I get it. You want to defend women because women have gone through a lot of hardships. I understand that. I hear your plight. I mean, just look at my skin color. Now listen, I may not be African American. I'm Caribbean American, yeah. But I can still understand some of the sentiments that women might be harboring and some of the emotions you might be feeling. However, that doesn't exclude the fact that she just frankly is not qualified to be in that role. That's just the truth. Now we're all out of comments here, but firstly I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. The next thing I want to say is really think about this. Like, honestly, think about it. In a world where you need to have certain stature, certain requirements, or you have to be able to perform at a certain level, does it really make sense to let the underqualified into these roles? How do we expect these roles to be fulfilled and performed at an optimal level when we frankly allow just about anyone to do that? And for the I believe, what is she? Commissioner, chairman? I'm not exact, director. There we go. Sorry about that. And for the director of the Secret Service to say that they want a bulk of their agents to be women by 2030 would lead me to believe that either A, they're not taking into consideration the actual qualifications necessary for a role like that, or B, they just don't give a fuck. Which, I mean, is also fine too. If that's how they want to approach things, that's great. But at the end of the day, it's not going to help the person that needs protection. Now, someone asked me what would I do if I was in that role? And I said nothing, because I don't want to be in the Secret Service. I wouldn't want to be in the Secret Service. I'm not jumping in front of a bullet for y'all. Why? Unless you're family or my significant other, there's no way I'd jump in front of a bullet for you. For what fucking reason? I don't know you. You know, and I don't care how much you pay me. You know, and there was another comment that said that as well, that she doesn't get paid enough for that. That is literally the job description. The job description states that at some point, in some certain capacity, you have to become a human meat shield. I've played plenty of Gears of War to know that being a meat shield sucks. So I wouldn't want to be that. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Just wanted to discuss a couple of things because I noticed on the community post, it's always a couple of ragers out there that are upset. But I welcome the conversation. I welcome you to speak on these things. Also, one of y'all called me an ape. I forgot who left this comment. I wanted to screenshot it, but I couldn't find it. One of you called me an ape and said that all I do is bash women on my community posts. Two things. The first one is, I think I'm a pretty good looking ape. Secondly, I don't inherently just bash women. I just take an objective look at things. And it just so happens that a lot of the times it's women doing that shit. I'm sorry. I can't help it. If you want me to stop, tell the ladies to stop. What can I do about it? I'm just an observer. I make content, I put my face out there and give my opinion, and I'm brave enough to take whatever backlash comes with it. And that's really it. Anyway, once again, thank you so much for watching. You let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? Is DEI going a little bit too far? What would you change if you could? And lastly, where do you see yourself in the grand scheme of things? Do you feel like you would be able to do this as well? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my shit. Got a whole bunch of other videos coming out along the way as well this week. Be tuned, stay tuned for that. And have a blessed day. Be well. And again, I'm never offended by any of your comments. You know, they're just comments. I mean, it's the internet. I don't fucking know you, right? And I implore you to continue to come into the comment section and let your thoughts be known. I'm here for it. Anyway, be well, stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.